Welcome to another eye-opening episode. Today we're delving into the world of digital privacy and exploring the intricacies of voice-activated assistants, Facebook and Google tracking, and digital phone calls. Are they being monitored? The burning question is our online data secretly being weaponized against us? Or is this just the inevitable cost of getting free software? Strap in for a riveting discussion on technology, privacy, and the fine line between convenience and surveillance. We apologise in advance if any personal assistants are activated by this episode. I've heard it said a number of times that when we're walking around our house, Alexa is listening. Sorry to all Alexa owners out there. Or Google is listening, or Siri is listening, or WhatsApp is listening. And I suppose really I was trying to get to the bottom of, is that actually the case? Are we being listened to all the time? And also, are they listening to us when we're not asking them to? And are they using that information to be able to target adverts for us, to be able to position products that we might like? So what do you guys think? Christian?
They are listening to us, but they are listening for their wake words. I think that is how it works, right? I'm not very deep into that topic yet, but that is at least what I learned. I also have several of them here. You can change that thing, the A word, to something like computer, and then it will only...
You're allowed.
Okay.
So, hey Google.
You can change
Google.
it to computer or Echo. Thank you, Tony. That helps. Siri. Okay, now we get all of them, I think. Yeah, they are listening for that wake word, I think, and everything afterwards then will be used or try to be interpreted, right? That's at least what I listened or what I learned when using my own devices here. But maybe you know more, Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa.
So yeah, to be honest, I'm a little bit skeptical with these whole voice assistants. We had an Alexa once, and we just, first of all, it messed with our VLAN because we had problems there with the security configurations that my IT boyfriend put in. It didn't work with them pretty well, so there was a thing we decided against Alexa. And yeah, I'm just not super comfortable with them, but that may be my personal opinion there. And yeah, you have different data that they are allowed to collect when you check online. They are different. Like Google Assistant is collecting other data than Amazon Alexa. When you talk to them directly, I also think they're waiting for their wake word most of the time, and I hope they're not collecting all the other data they are hearing while they're doing that, because otherwise I would be even more skeptical to use them.
Yeah.
And for me, the most interesting thing is the advertising at the end that sometimes comes out of there, because I, at the moment, get a lot of recommendation for courses because I'm out of work, apparently. So I don't know why, but different services are like, yeah, you're currently out of work, so here's what we recommend. And I'm like, what profile are you using, guys?
Where did you get this information?
So if they're listening, they're not doing it very well, apparently.
No, this is it, and I think that's true. I think there's I've heard a lot of conspiracy theories about that, about the fact that they listen all the time, and the answer is yes, of course they listen all the time, but I agree with you, Christian, that they probably only listen for their wake word, and Lisa said the same thing, in the fact that I don't think they're tracking everything, but I also think that that once you've said the wake word, they then do track everything you say, and they will use that to provide you with advertising and provide you with products that they think you need. So essentially, I don't think it's any different from maybe using a web browser. They do exactly the same thing. If you say, Alexa, what are the places called on the moon? Then you'll find that in your Amazon shopping basket or in your Amazon view, there'll be elements related to astronomy or what have you, or astrology. So I think they do that sort of thing, but I don't think they do it when you haven't said the wake word.
The problem is they sometimes do it when they think you said the wake word. So that I think is a little bit more scary than the advertisement that might come out of it, my personal opinion, because yes, there are several things ending with IXA when the voice assistant then jumps in and says, okay, how can I help you?
Yep.
But regarding that, I think it's very interesting. We're talking about voice assistants here with Alexa and Siri and so on, but many of us have their Google Android phones and there's Google Assistant on, and they are also listening all the time. And you take them everywhere. You take them to the bathroom, to the bedroom, to work, and everywhere. And they might be also listening to OK Google or something.
No, it's true.
Not for me. It's not even the advertisement part that might be very, very interesting. It's more the privacy part. So where are you using those devices? Are you using them in an office environment where there are some confidential talks maybe, which then might be transferred to some servers by mistake because you didn't really want to say, hey, Alexa, what's the best margin that I can have with that customer? But maybe some mistaken wake word told them or so.
So, and how do you feel about people all knowing that data is one of the way they are paying with? Because I feel like for people in IT space, it feels like common knowledge. Okay, if I'm using those devices and they are pretty cheap, or online services that are free, there's some common knowledge. Okay, they're using my data as exchange. Basically, that's the currency I'm going with. But are you under the impression that it's clear for everybody?
I don't think it is. No. I think we've got kind of used to software being free. A lot of software is being free. I mean, if you buy games these days, not AAA games for consoles, but if you buy games for your phone, it's quite abnormal these days to have a game that doesn't cost nothing, but then they charge for bits that you add into the game. So sort of microtransactions. So actually, I think we're kind of used to the fact that software is free. So that when you get WhatsApp that's free, Facebook that's free, let's say Alexa, the Alexa device isn't free, but using the one on your phone is. So the software essentially is free of charge, and we've kind of got used to the fact that software is free of charge. But it's not. The amount of research that goes into creating some technology like that is enormous, and it was no doubt a massive investment for the company that did it. But they did that on the assumption that they would then someday be able to make money out of it, commoditize it, make some money. Otherwise, why would they invest all that time and effort?
Yeah. So have you heard about the startup Tally?
No.
Nope. So that was for me one step further when I heard of it. So it's basically a startup that gave away 500,000 free TVs in exchange for the customer's data. So that are smart TVs with a value at about $1,000, I think, was the value of the televisions. And they are basically, I think that's another step because people are like, okay, that's $1,000 TV. So I think people are thinking more about it than in a free software because the value is not that apparent on first glance, maybe. But I thought there was quite an interesting way of doing it. And they have a second display, basically. So they have a top display, and then in the second display, there are advertisements and all of that. And you could, for example, order food on that second display. And
so it's got like an iPad built into it, sort of thing. So it's literally like a touch display on the other side.
So I think you using it with a TV remote.
Oh right, okay.
But you can still like go through there, and then Uber Eats comes up at like 7 p.m. And you're like, that doesn't sound too bad. And then you can order via the second display. And they have big collaborations like car brands, Kia and stuff like that. So I've thought that's taking it even a step further. But it feels like for me, it's more apparent for the user what they're doing. And it's more, they are consciously, I feel like more consciously saying, okay, I'm okay with giving out my data there because it's more obvious. Just feels like it for me.
Yeah, no, it's true, and I think that's the point, isn't it? I think people, if they were to deliberately buy into a product like that, whereby they know they're going to get advertising, then they don't necessarily complain too much. But I think maybe the way that the Facebooks, the Amazons of this world, and the Googles of this world, to a certain extent, they do the same thing, but they don't. Maybe it's not quite so obvious to the user that they're doing the same thing. Facebook, you think, is just there to help you talk to your friends. You don't consider it as being a method of earning money from Mr. Zuckerberg. That sort of stuff. It's not a corporation in that respect. It's a picture sharing website, almost like Instagram. But who's paying for Instagram?
Yeah, I think it's really, really hard to understand for many people, and I think that's not only for those services. When we go back a little bit, we had that for years and years. At least here in Germany, there are some newspapers which are free of charge. They will be sent to your briefcase, to your Briefkasten.
Yeah, I'm searching for the
postbox. They will be sent brought into your postbox every week, and they are a newspaper, but they are financed by advertisement, right? Somebody is paying advertisement there, and that's how it works. And now the difference is that is basically broadcasting, like TV. Everything is sent out. There is some advertisement, and you see it, and you're fine. It's not trackable. And now in the online world, we're switching that around. Now we put out that information or that advertisement, and the advertiser can see our interaction with it. And that is where the profile comes in, because to make it more valuable for the advertiser, the advertisement company needs the information. What is Lisa opening? Why is she out of work at the moment? However, I don't know how you did that. Maybe you shared your Wi-Fi with someone or so. But
with a homeless guy down the street sort of situation. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know.
Very generous, Lisa. Community spirited.
And with that information, the advertisement gets more valuable. And then with Facebook's, for example, they won't say, hey, I need Tony, and Tony needs to see that ad, but they know, they see, okay, I need somebody in the age of Tony, in the location of Tony, and 30 of them. And then 30 of people with the same profile will get that in that advertisement. I think that is also what people need to understand. It's oftentimes not really, really personal tracking that is happening. It's some kind of profile building. But to do that, they need to do your personal tracking. They are not allowed, at least in the EU, to do that on a very, very personal basis nowadays with GDPR and so on. That's why we have those great cookie banners. Thank you. But the reason why we have those is to hinder profile building like that. So that's why I'm really happy for the GDPR, to be honest. And it's very, very interesting that, for example, Google now is trying, they are seeing their profiles getting more and more invaluable because people are denying the cookies and so on. And they try to find new ways to get the advertisement money back with some kind of new super intentions. Or for example, Facebook, you can select your interests where you want to see ads, for example, right? Tony, did you see that? Or Lisa, I don't use Facebook, but
neither do I. It's quite interesting, actually. Yeah. So a couple of things with regard to Facebook. Firstly, and this is one that did surprise me, is the fact that Facebook tracks you even when you're not on Facebook. And when I say tracks you, what I really mean is that Facebook provides sort of, let's say, for example, the like button on other people's websites. So if you go to somebody else's website and you click the like button to say, yes, I'd like this, the little sort of thumbs up symbol, then essentially that sends information back to Facebook. So Facebook use a piece of software called Facebook Pixel to therefore embed into other people's websites. But if you then log into that website, even if you don't click the like button to say I like something, they know you've logged in because they know what your cookies from Facebook on your local machine are. And they can then confirm that you went to that website, and they go, okay, fine. And they feed that information back into Facebook's processing. So Facebook can more or less track you around the web, even though you're not actually using Facebook. And they're using that as a way, again, of trying to target their advertising better. And that is, I've got to say, that's a little bit much for me. But then what they do is they then provide you with the ability to be able to go and look at the information that they're gathering. So, for example, if you go into Facebook, and I tried this a couple of days ago, you go to Add Preferences, setting privacy, settings, add preferences, and then add topics, the ad in that situation means advert. It shows you a complete list of all the things that Facebook thinks you're interested in, which I think is quite nice. So for some bizarre reason, on mine, and I found this quite interesting, I have surfing, okay, valid. Computing, yes. Data, yes. Cloud, yes. Singapore Airlines, no. I don't know why. BMW, maybe. Handbags, clearly me. Giant bicycles, yes, possibly. Sunseeker yachts. I quite liked that. Obviously, I'm very keen on Sunseeker yachts. But I can go into...
Do you mean giant bicycles?
Giant bicycles,
or the brand Giant?
Not big bicycles, but bicycles made by a company called Giant.
I just had a picture in my head and was like, they're probably meaning the brand.
Exactly.
But I was like, Tony standing next to a giant bicycle.
Wow, look at the size of that thing. Yes, but and furniture's in there as well for some reason. I don't know why. But I could go in there and say, no, actually, I'm no longer interested in Sunseeker yachts, and I could drop that down. I don't appear to be able to remove it, but I can at least say, I'd like to see this less, please. But all of this information is not just gathered from me going to Facebook, because I virtually never go to Facebook. But it must be gathered from me going to other websites and clicking on other links. Handbags is a personal favorite. So I don't know. But I think this is quite interesting. They do give you the power to go and change it. But how many people go and look?
I mean, you also got the power to ask for the data they collected of you over the years, but not many people are using it.
That's true.
So
you can actually go and ask them for all that detail.
So yeah, you're able to ask them to delete it and also ask them to give it out to you. And if you print that, I'm sure you have a book for your bookshelf then.
Mm.
For me, what is quite interesting, they are so good in collecting data and doing profiles besides me apparently being out of work. But I don't understand how they keep advertising for articles that you normally just buy one time. I don't understand when you buy a fridge, they keep showing you fridges or whatever the plural of fridge is. And I'm like, I don't need so many fridges whatsoever. So that's for me quite interesting that such a far developed algorithm is not understanding that there are things maybe I need more of, but there are also things that I'm fine with. If I buy a new toilet seat, I probably don't need a new toilet seat every second day.
Yep.
So that's something that always amazes me.
I've just bought some sunglasses, and I still get adverts for sunglasses. So yeah, you're right. It is a bit weird, isn't it? But again, it would be nice. Maybe this is. I'm the same as you, Christian, in the fact that I do a lot of. I will reject cookies, every possibility, and I actually won't go to websites that almost force me down the fact that I've got to use their cookies. If I've got to go down 20 items to be able to say no, I'll just go to a different website. If I'm doing research for something, say, but I would if I don't need to go to that website, then I won't go there. But most of the time, I will say no, reject unless it's required, or I will go down and I will manually select the ones that I want to use. There are very few exceptions to that, but maybe that's the sort of thing that's meaning that I'm still looking at sunglasses as far as it's concerned, because I've not allowed it to understand by rejecting the cookies that I have purchased sunglasses. So I don't know. Maybe that's something they would have held in cookies that I didn't know about. So yeah.
Yeah, that's how they want to sell it to you. They almost got you, Tony. They almost got you. No, that also didn't work with the cookies. But yeah, I think it's also very interesting. How did you ever have that situation where you talk to somebody about something and suddenly advertisements for that something appeared?
No, you see, this is it. I wonder. I haven't had that. I feel like it's something I should be able to test. So if I suddenly decide I'm interested in a BMW 7 Series, and then all of a sudden I get adverts for BMW 7 Series, which I can't afford, by the way, then that would be the proof of it. But I've never tested it. But like I say, I don't believe that everybody is listening at all times. because I don't think there's enough bandwidth and enough storage space and enough processing power to necessary to do that for everybody on the planet. So it's interesting, but I don't know. Do you believe that's the case?
I don't believe it, but I had 2 situations I can remember where I was like, I didn't put it in anywhere else because I was talking to a friend and she needed medication and talked to me what medication she needed, and I got adverts for that medication. And I was like, I didn't Google it because I didn't need it, so I should I put it in somewhere else? And I was like, that's strange. I thought a lot about it. And I was like, maybe I Googled it or something and tried to find the connection there because from the bottom of my heart, I hope it's not so. But I really went out of that situation. I was like, that's really, really strange.
Yeah.
Have you been close to another while talking about that? Like in the same room or so?
Yeah, we have been in the same room.
I heard, but I don't have any official paper or something about that, that this might be due to the fact that your phone and her phone have been at the same place. And then the profiling mechanism saw, hey, Lisa and her friend, they are together. They might have close interests also.
In medication. that's normally how I find my friends.
Absolutely.
Do shared interests in medication.
Always at the doctor's.
No, but that is something that somebody suggested. I don't know if that is true, but that would make a lot more sense for me than talking or listening to every talk and all the time.
Yeah, that's
really
true.
Yes, yeah. It's difficult.
But someone would need to research that.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I think there's something more to it. But like I say, I just don't think there's enough processing power for it to record everybody at all times and to be able to process that information. But I am prepared to admit that that they probably are doing very clever things with proximity. That's a possibility.
Absolutely.
Isn't it? So talking about the listening to everything thing though. I think Google have said that more or less that maybe 0.2% of the information that it gets, actually it's probably higher than that actually. There are many times that Alexas and Googles are unintentionally activated, which we talked about earlier. And on that basis, what they then have, they do have language experts whose job it is to do nothing else other than sit down and listen to those recordings, primarily to make the language model better. So, but they claim that they anonymize that data so that there's no chance of tracking it back to the person who spoke or what their account information is or anything else on those lines. They funnel it out to an external company. But they do say that 0.2% of that data does contain sensitive information. So they freely admit that they're getting sensitive information, but they are doing their best to anonymize it so that it can't be used. There's some elements whereby they're saying that they've heard bedroom conversations. I'm not sure if that's code. Blazing rows between people. Oh my God! Professional phone calls where private information was transferred. Even people in distress and violence. Ouch. They've managed to get by accident. But guideline wise, they don't do anything with that information. All they do is they just listen to it from a language model perspective and make sure that their product interpreted the language correctly. So yeah, there's a lot of data being thrown backwards and forwards. That much is for certain.
So I think what is really important is to help people understand what is happening there. That information will be collected, that it might be used to build a profile, that it might be used to enhance the product itself. That's often also, especially what you now said, Tony, to really get the models better. But people need to understand it. They have to have that conscious decision to really be able to use it, in my opinion. So that is something that we all should do, educate the people around us, how they are using and what they are using every day.
But again, it's free software. So essentially, we're paying in some way, shape, or form. In this case, we're just paying through advertising. One of the points that I thought was quite interesting is I have heard on numerous occasions people saying that their WhatsApp calls are being tracked or their WhatsApp calls are being listened to, and the only place, just as you said, Lisa, the only place they've said something was on a WhatsApp call, and then lo and behold, advertising with regard to that item has appeared. It's something like 1 in 2 Indian people in India, this is an Indian report, claim they have received ads for products they have only discussed on phone calls. So not specifically WhatsApp in that situation, but WhatsApp has been pointed out to have an issue like this, whereby not necessarily with iPhone, I think this was with an Android phone, whereby a guy went to sleep, woke up in the morning, and then realized that his WhatsApp had been listening to him overnight and logging the fact that it had heard him talking. So he's like, well, what the hell is it doing trying to do that anyway? But actually, that suggests that WhatsApp's microphone is always open and it is listening to what people are saying. WhatsApp has more or less said, no, we don't do that. It was a bug. But they've also said that everything is end-to-end encrypted, therefore they never look at any information about that. But anybody else had any other thoughts about whether WhatsApp calls or maybe Facebook calls or calls where we're using a different application may be causing issues?
I'm never using WhatsApp calls or something like that. If I call somebody, I call them old school.
Wow. What with the dial, that sort of stuff, where you rotate it, that sort of stuff?
Exactly, yeah.
Is it one of those ones that you just pick off the
I'm
wall?
doing smoke signals to my family.
That sort of business. No? Like 1920s.
I never experienced something like that. I'm using signal calls, if even. And I would suggest that the problem might not be the software themselves. Maybe there would be some malware on the device. Because especially for Android, it's easy to implement something that is malicious if you don't have the proper security measures in there. And I totally can see some advertising malware doing that, like we had in the beginning of search bars, where there were all those search advertising things which gave you a lot of crapware. I think that might be possible in India also. Not in India, sorry. That might be possible on Android also. So I would even think having it on a normal call is posing exactly the same risk as having it on a Signal or whatever call, because it's the microphone itself.
Yeah, and I think
that could be tapped into.
That's a fair point, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, because we have multiple applications on our phones, all of which are allowed to use our microphones, you can never really tell which of those applications is using the microphone at any given time. I don't know whether multiple applications can simultaneously use the microphone. I don't know how an iPhone is built or an Android phone is built or a Google Pixel is built. So it'd be interesting to see if maybe can Facebook listen at the same point as you're making a WhatsApp call? Can iCloud listen at the same point as you're making a Facebook call, for example? Would be very interesting to say if they could all listen at the same time. But don't know.
But I don't think so. That it's officially something that is supported. Then it would be some malicious software, I think, that would somehow circumvent things. So if you root your device, then you are basically blocking out some security measures, and that might be one of them.
Yeah. So certainly with my digging on this subject, I've not been able to find any validated reports whereby anything with regard to phone calls was in some way reviewed and affected advertising. There were a few people who sort of suggest they've seen something similar, but again, I think we're all sort of seeing that maybe that's possibly related to something else rather than phone calls being intercepted. But I don't know. Difficult to say 100%.
Absolutely. And I think that's also a bias problem when we go back to one of our last episodes. If you're concentrated on something, you quite often see something very similar in that time frame, and always and sometimes you also do something that is unconscious that leads to a day later some advertisement that you say, oh crap, okay, now that's really strange. So I would be also not too hard on that topic.
Interesting. Okay.
And one last thing, maybe, I think the location topic is also quite interesting. I mean, if you don't turn off some location information you're giving to Google, then it tells you, this restaurant, you were last time here on the 3rd of March. And you're like, I don't remember that one. And how do you think its accessibility features are, and all of that questions you're getting. And I think that's also something people are not really conscious of, that they remembering, okay, you visited that place and this place, and maybe they have then a map of which places you go often to. And I feel like that's not so much a topic like maybe being listened to in WhatsApp calls or by Alexa.
Yeah.
But this is real, and everybody can go to her or his profile in Google and absolutely see where they have been since they turned on the location feature, and it's somewhat scary.
Yeah.
I've got to say, mine would just say McDonald's. That's all it will say, to be honest. Just McDonald's. So especially now Monopoly's back on. So yeah, clearly that's the way forward. We're not sponsored by McDonald's.
This podcast is not sponsored.
Just by giant bikes.
Just by giant bikes. Really, really big. Yeah, exactly. I would say that, but again, I find it fascinating is that I leave my car somewhere and my phone says, "Oh, I've just logged down where your car's parked," and it's like, well, first of all, how the hell did you know I got out of the car? So that which I thought was
because you lost you cut your Bluetooth connections.
Maybe,
that's how.
Yeah, just something like that, or maybe the fact that I started moving slower, therefore I must, by definition, no longer be in the car.
That might be.
But yeah, I just thought I think, and that's very useful. It's a useful thing. But again, you're right. But I gain that benefit from the basis of the fact that Google now know wherever I go. So yes, it is quite bizarre. You do wonder why. You do wonder. Surely, if anyone gets kidnapped these days, it shouldn't be hard to find them. To be honest, because everybody knows where they are. Google knows, Amazon knows, Microsoft knows. It should be great. It should be easy to find people these days.
That's why in the movies people destroy the smartphones first,
or throw them down
throw them out the window.
Okay, so at the start of the conversation, we said, "Are we being tracked?" And do you think that is the price you pay for having what is essentially free software? Christian, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, we are tracked. I would love to be not tracked that much, and I try to pay for things if possible when it removes the tracking possibilities.
Lisa?
Yeah, we are definitely tracked. I think if the data is anonymized and you can directly connect it to the person, I think that's a benefit, and just should be regulated what they are tracking and what they are not tracking. Yeah. So like reducing the amount of data that's been tracking, and also having the possibility to turn some of these features off is also a big benefit. But I also have to say, like, if we want the features that we're using right now, they cost money, and there needs to be a way to get paid for that. So you can't have both. So I think if it's regulated, if you have the possibility to turn it off on one or the other side, I think it's fine. Yeah,
and I'm kind of with you on that one as well. I think yes, we're tracked, but I enjoy the features that provides. But also, I suppose I've got to be conscious of the fact that I can turn that sort of stuff off if I really wanted to. So I do have the power to do it, and regulation-wise, with GDPR being quite a strong sort of legal framework for us to be able to work from with regard to this information, we're not in a bad situation. We just have to take responsibility for saying no, I suppose, if we do find it offensive. Thanks everyone for listening. We all agree that Big Brother is watching, but we are getting some good software to play with because of it. And we just need to remember that we can turn off much of this tracking if we want to. If you're enjoying the podcast, please hit the subscribe button. And don't forget, if you have any subjects you'd like us to discuss, please just leave a comment. See you at the next one.